Joe was here at 7:55.
Prepared, mate. Basically, I was just bored, sat here waiting, so I thought may as well jump on, mightn't I?
All right, we still got a few people entering the room. Yes, Ali, long time.
Yes, my brother. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, man. How are you?
How's it going, bro? I'm sitting on the train, bro.
Yes, I love it.
About to get off.
About to
So
get
I jump on the Zoom, bro.
Why Let him know, man. Let him know.
Yeah, bro.
I recently had the pleasure of meeting Ali recently after teaching him online a few months ago. So.
No, thanks,
Yo,
bro.
I'm here.
It was all mine, bro.
Let's go.
Mine.
All right, you ready for me to hit record?
Yep, hit record. Do the disclaimer. Let's roll.
Okay. What's good, people? It's currently 10 past 8 p.m. UK time, Monday the 7th of March 2022. In this episode of the game, we'll be mainly focusing on extracting some expert.
I'll mute Ali.
Sorry about that. On this episode of the game, we'll be mainly extracting the expertise of Joe David, who happens to be a crypto accountant, and he can help with crypto and NFT tax. Just before that, let's just do the disclaimer. So, in case you guys were wondering, confused, or unfamiliar, all Blockchain Sensei content, as it stands, is for education, information, and entertainment purposes only. Ha ha ha. So funny. No information should be considered investment advice or financial recommendations to buy, sell any assets, or place any trades. Please always do your own research. Joe, just for the record, this episode cannot be considered tax advice, can it? This is tax information and tax entertainment, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Not even Joe. Not even Joe the accountant is giving accounting advice in this episode. Okay, this is crypto tax.
I think entertainment's a bit strong, mate. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah. It's very important to do your own analysis before doing any or making any investments based on your own individual circumstances. Please always take independent professional advice from a professional advisor. We're not professional advisors. Or independently research and verify all and any information you may find in our content that you wish to rely upon, whether you wish to make an investment decision or otherwise.
Boom. Right. So let me do a little bit of news.
Wait. You usually read the other half.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. All investments come with risk if you didn't know. Please always do your own research. Anything that happens as a coincidence after we've said it is just merely a coincidence and has got nothing to do with our research or our skill as researchers, because you have to do your own research and analysis at all times, because we are not financial advisors. We do not intend to be perceived or received as financial advisors. However, we are working in collaboration with several accredited advisors, and one of them being called Victoria Nabarro. If you would like to get some financial advice because you are unable to mitigate your risk, then please contact us immediately so we can put you in contact with an accredited financial advisor. Boom. Okay, cool. So let me share my screen. There we go. So, hang on a minute. I can't share my screen yet. Let me just go to the charts. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start on the charts first, just because there's a looming issue that I think needs to be addressed. And that is that for some unknown reason, if we look at this beautiful little support line that we've got right here, anyone that understands even the slightest bit of TA would say that, we're kind of on the weekly due some kind of turnaround here. Now, what would make me think that we would do some kind of turnaround here? Anyone that's a student would know that we often talk about something called the Quadruple Witching, which happens in March. So what does that mean? For those that don't know, basically the banks are playing a big, massive gambling game, and they have to cash out all their checks in March, on the third Friday of March. So between now and the third Friday of March, we should be expecting a massive bounce to the upside. And then, unfortunately, from there, this show might be over for a while. which brings me on to the next set of news, which I had to put out there publicly because I felt it's the kind of information that it's kind of just a little bit unfair to just kind of have for myself and for students. I feel right now it is more important than ever to make sure people have some kind of degree of financial literacy. Hang on a minute, I've just lost my Zoom tab. Wait, where's my Zoom tab? Oh, here we are. Okay, cool. So what I'm about to show you is a fractal of what the charts looked like just over the 1920s as they headed into the 1930s, the Great Roaring Depression. So there's a saying that history repeats itself. And if you listen to our Ray Dalio interview, and if you've listened or watched anything to do with Ray Dalio, and if you don't know who Ray Dalio is, I highly recommend you just go and Google Ray Dalio and go and watch his latest video on navigating great change and great debt cycles. It is, for anyone that doesn't know anything, watch it.
I need to add this. Can you please go to our Twitter? Did you see my tweet string on it?
Pull it up.
This video is so good.
Yeah,
I watched it at like 3 a.m. in the morning. I think yesterday. I can't remember because I have a weird sleeping pattern. But you can actually see the tweet string.
Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, everyone's piling in now. That's the Michael Jordan 6 rings that's just dropped on his platform Air. This is Joe stuff. Where was it? After the 19 keys stuff? Oh, yeah, here. In fact, let's post this in the group because I think it's important for people to watch. So this book is amazing, but it's a bit of a tough read. We broke it down a little bit in a few previous episodes. But yeah, definitely watch it when you can. So that's that. So yeah, so back to the post that I was talking about. I am Mr. Harding. So I've just posted it on my page in terms of the news. Okay, cool. So this is what the markets looked like in the 1920s heading up to the Great Depression in the 1930s. Now, some people say history repeats itself. I would say that these charts are looking very similar to what we can see from the last 20 years. Well, this is going from 1996. So I would be very cautious if you don't understand TA, if you don't understand what you're getting into, brace yourself both on the crypto front and the stock market front. That yes, there is still a little bit of a way to go and some gains to be had. But if you are not investing for the long term and you're trying to make a quick flip, it's very likely in the next year, you're going to get hurt, and you're going to get hurt real bad. So this is another reason why we think it's important to make sure you get some financial literacy and speak to a financial advisor. I saw this the other day whilst I was walking, and anyone that understands inflation and is in crypto will find this advert hilarious because
it's hilarious. I laughed when I saw it.
Because
this is my entertainment, guys.
Because I think this post is going to age very, very well. For those that understand it, know that this is actually a reality. Like, this is why people need to invest. And I've not put any comments or anything on this post just because the picture says 1,000 words. I don't need to say anything. And just behind it, we've got a little bit of information from our first ever ebook that we released, and it just describes about the power of inflation. So we all know our good old friend Fredo, who is no longer 10p, who is no longer 20p. I don't even know if he's 30p anymore, but we can see what happens with gradual inflation over a period of time. Your coffee doesn't cost the same, your train tickets don't cost the same, your rent isn't the same, your car isn't the same, and your house really doesn't cost the same. However, most people's pay does stay the same or increases by around 2%. So most people, their wages aren't increasing faster than inflation. And this is why it's so important to understand financial literacy. Also, earlier in this week, you probably saw that we did our, we helped out none other than Mr. Big Nasty himself. I've got a few clips coming from Big Nasty from his little jump into our Discord last week.
It was more than little, though, wasn't it? You're supposed to be there for 5 to 10 minutes. He gave us time, mate. He gave us a lot of time.
He did give us a lot of time. He did give us a lot of time. So in regards to Big Nasty, if you're interested in future releases from Big Nasty, then please join the Discord that he has. So the Discord is on his page.
It's on his Instagram bio.
It's on his Instagram. Here it is.
It's also on our Linktree, to be fair.
This is his Discord. Please all go and join the Discord, which is managed by none other than Deco. So let me just cut and paste.
Deco, come say hello for a second, so they know.
Yeah, bro, because you've been putting in the work, bro.
Yo.
Behind the emojis.
Working on. Come on.
I love that. Okay, cool. So this was the drop. As you saw, there is another drop coming this week. The previous drop meant that the owner was entitled to get on stage and backstage with discounted merch, signed BDL merch, and a BDL membership and exclusive track and video, which was the video for the song. It actually sold for $3,303 in total. I think it had over 30 people bidding for it, so we would count that as a slight success. So other news, let's go to other news that happened this week. It's been a bit of a crazy week, as we know. It's been some things happening in the world, as we know. So one of the things that happened was we saw that Ukraine tweeted out their Bitcoin and Ethereum addresses, and tons of donations. I think it's a total of 50 million now has been raised and been sent to Ukraine. And again, this whole situation is showing the power and the importance of crypto, because when everything else fails, the one thing that everybody thought would fail is actually doing well. An announcement, Billboard and Universal Music Group have decided to partner with Flow. Who would have guessed that? Wow, it's interesting.
Check out our episode on Flow. And then if you dig deep on the Blockchain Sensei Twitter, you can find a 50 tweet string by myself diving into Flow Crypto. Get to know.
Yeah. So Visa and MasterCard will suspended operations in Russia, which is huge. Again, at Blockchain Sensei, you know, we have an obsession with following the whales and just looking at what the whales are doing and telling you guys that, look, the media is saying one thing, but the whales are doing completely something different. Now, who would have guessed it that these media outlets that are saying don't get into crypto are run by and have investments in them by some of these companies like Fidelity, like BlackRock, like State Street, with Fidelity having 4.2 trillion in assets under management, BlackRock having 10 trillion in assets under management, State Street having 3.9 trillion in assets under management, Charles Schwab having 7.5 trillion in assets under management. And for those of you that are new, just so you have context, a trillion is 1,000 billion. And we are led to believe that it is Elon Musk that moves the crypto markets. Just some basic maths for you. People that have this amount of money under management, or one individual with a few billion, who is more likely to move the markets? Just saying. So that's a bit of news that happened there. Then again, like we always see when the markets are down or dipping, there tends to be a lot of great fundamental news. You've probably had it this week. We've had it non-stop. Loads of people telling us that crypto and blockchain stuff is a waste of time. Meanwhile, the NFL, Nike, Hulu, Visa, Meta, which is otherwise known as Facebook, Apple, Nvidia, Disney, PayPal, Google, Fidelity, Amazon, Microsoft, JP Morgan, MasterCard, State Street, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America are all hiring for crypto jobs. So I would say that they can probably do more research than the average man on the street. So yeah. Then again, in regards to something that I saw in a video on YouTube. I thought I'd share it with everybody, is the impact of global crises on the Dow Jones. So just showing that, look, if the market does absolutely implode and we do go into something of a recession, just understand that the market does always bounce back. And those that invested in the markets during its ultimate lows did pretty well after it. And then leaked images suggesting that OpenSea plans to add Solana NFT support to the page. Cool. So now we're gonna that's all the news. We're gonna now get chatting with Mr. Joe David. Mr. Joe David, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hello. Thank you once again for giving us your time. Let's get into it. So I want to kind of just start this off as just like a conversation before we get into like a Q&A. I think the best place to go with the conversation is where we kind of left our conversation on the phone, which is about the gap. Like, why isn't like there's just a lack of people with your knowledge
In general, not just in crypto. I think it comes back to like some kind of what you just pointed out though, right? Where it's that lack of understanding for what is in front of them. Do you know what I mean? So, you talked about that in the news section, talking about there, and that, people don't necessarily understand, where crypto's coming from, and people are telling you this, that, and the other about crypto, which isn't the case, as you can see with all these jobs on offer and all that sort of stuff. I think it's the same here. Most people are still sitting in their little bubble, looking at the traditional financial world, and no one wants to step outside of that.
Definitely. Would you say, have you had any backlash from traditional accountants? You being very public about being a crypto accountant?
No, but mainly because I've always been a little bit like, I don't really care what people say, and I just tell them what I think anyway. So it's not been too much of an issue. But we have had some, like, say we work with a client and then we do their work and then we give it to another accountant who then files the tax return or whatever. We have had accountants ask for like the transaction history so they can check it. And I'm like, are you for real? So I send it to them and then they're like, oh, okay, great. Thanks. Yeah. And so they clearly don't have a clue what they're asking for when they ask these things. But most people just don't, they're quite happy to give it to us because they don't want to go anywhere near it.
Wow. Wait, you think people don't want to go anywhere near, like other accountants don't want to go anywhere near it?
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not going to name this particular one because I actually get on with them very well. But, they messaged me on LinkedIn the other day and said, we've got these clients, we just don't want to deal with it. Can you just take them off our hands, please? There's a couple of accountants that, and, again, I'm not going to name names, but there are a couple of accountants that are publicly putting themselves out there as crypto accountants, but we do all the work.
Okay, so if any accountants are watching this and looking for a white labeling, all of MynaAccountants.co, basically.
So yeah, so I just don't think they get it. But to be honest, though, right? Let's be like, we're most of us around this table now, virtual table, are crypto people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame them for not wanting for not getting it. It's complicated. It's there's lots going on. It's and I'm not being funny, right? The reason we are so passionate about it is because we love it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's a big difference. And I think that's there's certain things in accounting and tax that I don't want to do. So I don't do it. I outsource it or whatever. So I don't have an issue. I joke about it a bit, but actually for me, it's a huge opportunity and a huge space to walk into.
Yeah, that's literally exactly why we exist as Blockchain Sensei. It's because we were doing what we were doing, and then our financial advisor, she was like, well, you do realize that there's tons of financial advisors that don't understand this stuff. There's tons of accountants, there's tons of lawyers that don't understand this stuff, but they need to. And if they don't understand it, like you said, their clients will just go elsewhere. Would you say that there's an increasing demand in the amount of clients that are leaving and then coming to you?
100%. But I'll tell you what is really interesting as well. You'd be really surprised at the amount of people that say, can you do our crypto, but we don't want to leave our accountant? Like, you'd be amazed at how many people say
Wow.
that. It's really interesting. Yeah. Which to us doesn't overly matter because we get to do the crypto bit and then we kind of hand over the compliance side, if you like, of doing the actual tax return to another accountant. So that doesn't actually bother us so much. But yeah, you'd be really surprised at how many people don't want to leave an accountant, despite the fact that they clearly know nothing about crypto.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So in terms of like your journey, like how did you fall down the rabbit hole?
So I told this story earlier today, and like the person who's involved in the story has absolutely no idea that they're involved. But basically, we had a client. We still got that client actually about 3 years ago. One day she'll listen to me talking and she'll realize it's her. And she's a vet, right? And she literally randomly was like, can you like help my boyfriend? He's really annoying. He's asking me all these questions to ask you about accounts, and he does some tech stuff, and I've no idea what he was. So I walked into the room with the boyfriend to have a conversation about his tech business, and he turned out to be a DeFi exchange on Ethereum. And this is about 3.5 years ago. So you can imagine they spun out of Bitfinex. So they were in Bitfinex, and then they it's called Diversify. And their kind of main USP, I guess, now is that they try and take away the gas fees from an Ethereum swap perspective. So obviously that's quite helpful for some people. So
this guy was the owner of an Ethereum DEX.
Yeah. And I like all the woman said to me was like, and she literally pays us like 100 quid a month or something. So not even a big client. You know what I mean? She's he's really annoying me with all these questions about accounts. Can you just sort him out? And I'm like,
but you're not allowed to tell us which DEX it is, are you?
Yeah, I just told you, Diversify.
Oh, right. Is I've never heard of that DEX. Have you heard of that DEX?
Oh, well, I'm gonna go do my research now.
It's quite small. Yeah, they got a token in that, but yeah, that's how it started. You know, you and I, you know, we talked about it before I jumped on about going down that rabbit hole. You know, and at first I kind of just did what I needed to do, got by with what I needed to get by, and then all of a sudden you start seeing a bit more about it, reading a bit more about it, etc. And all of a sudden you then start thinking, wow, what have I got here? And then you get in that rabbit hole that you can't get back out of. So yeah, that's how it is, like a chance encounter, which I know is a bit of those cliche, crappy little stories where you go, oh, if only it wasn't for this situation. That's genuinely how it happened.
Oh wow, that's a crazy story. That like it was literally just landed on your lap like that, and yeah, from there the rest was history, I guess.
Yeah, these guys. Yeah, that's it.
I'm diversifying. So I know. Jay, you're on the call, and I know you're obsessed with your dexes. So, have you seen this one?
I haven't. No, I haven't seen this one actually.
You know, a lot of people I talk to have never heard of them, but they do seem to do all right. I mean, the numbers they do are decent. I haven't looked at their. I mean, that volume don't look very good. Yeah, their numbers seem decent every time we're doing their accounts. But yeah.
Okay.
That's how we got into it.
So would you say that there's more businesses accepting crypto payments now, or less? Or where would you say that side of it is?
I think that I said again, you know, I do this quite a lot where I chat about this sort of situation, and the problem is I'm in the game, so I see it, if you know what I mean. So sometimes I think, am I just biased towards the fact that there's loads because I see loads, because that's the type of clients that come and talk to me. More and more people, you know, the other thing we've done recently is like sign a retainer, say with a company who've got a finance department, so they might have an FD, CFO, whatever, but that FD or CFO isn't crypto friendly necessarily, but they're open to it. They just don't get it, so they might bring us on board to give them a bit of support and guidance on. You know, we had one. So there's a token in Scotland called Scotcoin, and it's basically going to be like the currency of Scotland, I guess. But they had a client who they wanted to. Sorry, not client. They basically wanted to get a PR agency on board to do their PR, and they were like, look, you know, we haven't got loads of cash. Can we pay in Scotcoin? And the client was a bit like, not sure, or sorry, PR agencies were like, not sure, don't really know. So they asked me if I could jump on the call with them. talk it through with the FD. Do you know what I mean? Just give a bit of comfort that it's not as bad or not as scary as people think it is.
It's like Messi getting paid in PSG coin, which everyone's like, why would he do that? But then when you actually understand what's going on there, you're like, wow.
The fact that he's already got God knows how much money in the bank probably made a little bit of a difference to his decision as well, yeah?
Yes.
he could take that risk, couldn't he?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, talking of risk, what would you say is like the biggest risk for most retail people in crypto regarding taxes?
Lack of knowledge, I think, and lack of understanding of what they're getting themselves into. I think that is the scariest part where, you know, I have conversations with people and they say, if I'd known this 6 months ago, I wouldn't have done this or I wouldn't have done that. And I think sometimes that is quite scary. I think sometimes, you know, some of the conversations we have around like, you know, you've got X tax bill and their portfolio has gone down by 30% since, you know, they made those gains, for example. They don't realize that they've crystallized gains, but they haven't crystallized losses because they don't want to sell at their 30% loss. And now they realize they've got, you know, a much lower portfolio. And, you know, let's say the tax rate is 20% from a CGT perspective, capital gains tax, they might now have a 45% rate, you know, effective rate on their portfolio balance at that point. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's the scariest factor is it's, and I'm not advocating for massive regulation because I don't think there should be huge regulation, but I think that's the scariest thing, that it's so easy for people to get into without any kind of knowledge. And obviously the providers, you in finance, Coinbase, etc. At the moment, there's nothing really forcing them to educate. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got so many raw questions to ask. I'm so interested.
Well, let's help out the retail like newbies first. So for somebody that's just started investing in crypto, let's say last year, so they'd fall in the tax bracket for having to pay tax next year, let's say. What are the things they should look at? What advice would you give? What would this be the steps for them to take to get started in terms of looking at their account?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'd do is get some tracking software. You know, Accounting, we've used Crypto Tax Calculator, Coinly. I definitely get, because you'll be amazed actually at, you know, don't get me wrong, they all have flaws and they all take a lot of kind of reconciliation work to get them right. But you'd be amazed at how much they do pick up. And especially if you are a basic retail early investor, you know, and you're just doing some trades on Binance and Coinbase and things like that, then you'll find that actually it picks up the majority of what you've got to do. And at least you've got an idea. Do you know what I mean? Of where that tax liability might be. So that's the first thing I would do. And it's not that difficult. Plugging in your wallet addresses and, you know, downloading some API keys from the exchanges is easier than you would think. So yeah, that's the first thing I would do, is get it all into a system and at least have because as soon as you come to someone like us, we're going to ask you to do that anyway. So the quicker you can do that when we actually talk, we can actually have a look at your data and give you an idea of where we think you're at.
Perfect. So for somebody that's just started investing, what would you say is the amount of gains that they should now start looking at paying tax?
So the capital gains allowance for individuals is 12,300. So anything over that allowance gain wise, you would then be liable to pay tax on that gain. If you're under that, then there are a couple of occasions where you would still have to report it. But if you're under that and you don't meet those other criteria, then you don't have to. The other criteria being you have to already be registered for self-assessment and your disposal proceeds are more than 4 times that allowance. I'm an accountant, but I can't do that maths in my head. I guess it's, 40, 48, 49K, something like that. So yeah, so they're the only 2 exceptions as to why you would. So that's the amount that you can kind of, if you like, forget about it until you get to that point. I guess the one thing I really want to point out quite quickly and early on here, though, is you'd be surprised at how quickly you hit that in terms of, you know, in terms of trades, because we're talking here, and this is, I know we haven't got onto the kind of technical side of it yet, but every single trade is effectively a disposal, and people don't realize that. So people will probably sat there thinking, well, I've only taken 5k out, I've only taken 6k out, but you may have actually generated 20k of gains that have crystallized. And even if you now only have 6k, there are scenarios where you could still have a taxable liability. So yeah, so it's more frequent than you would think that people breach that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And again, because I know for a fact there's people in this call and definitely they're going to be watching on YouTube. They're definitely going, oh. I know you're endowed with work, but how do people reach out to you and contact you or your company?
Yeah. So
I've made you co-host. I've made you co-host so you can share your screen if you need to.
Cool. So yeah, I will. I'll just bring up our website quickly, just because it's easier, so everyone can see. Give me a sec. I'm on an iPad, so I've got to fiddle about with the screen. So we're on Twitter, but if you come to our website, you come to our contact page over here, and if you click on this contact us, it will bring you to a lovely little form. If you fill out that form and send that over to us, it gives us a good idea of where you're at, what you want to do, how you want to do it, all those sorts of things, so that when we pick up the phone or drop an email to you or whatever, we've got a little bit more background about what you're doing. So yeah, jump over to our website and complete that form, and it will come over to us. And then other than that, we're just on the usual. I can't even get off this now. The usual places: Twitter, LinkedIn, those sort of places.
Perfect. The links will be in description if you're watching on YouTube. If not, just message us at Blockchain Sensei and we'll get you those links set up for you. Okay, cool. So in terms of, here's a tricky one, which I know most people aren't considering. NFTs and tax. How does that work?
It's actually simpler than you'd think, because ultimately, and NFTs are actually easier in a way than the kind of standard crypto tokens, because of the nature of what you're buying, which is effectively a one-off item, right? So they're much more based around, you buy an individual NFT and you sell that exact same NFT. Do you see what I mean? Whereas with crypto, you buy 0.635 Bitcoin, you then sell 0.25 Bitcoin. You can't split exactly what part of that Bitcoin you sold when you bought it and all that. So that's where, getting a bit technical now for a Monday night, but that's where the average cost method comes in. So in the UK, go on.
I was going to say our audience is used to being technical on a Monday.
Yeah, spit it, please. I want to hear it.
So in the UK, we have an average cost method. So basically all your trades, all your purchases, so let's take Bitcoin as an easy example, are pooled together under one effectively average cost over time, right? So then when you make a disposal, the disposal says I want to raise my hand. I don't want to raise my hand. I want to ask myself a question. When you sell your crypto or you dispose of your crypto and whatever, the sale price is then or the cost price that's deducted from your sale is the average cost of all your purchases. What I'm trying to get at. I distracted myself by raising my hand. And that is how we operate, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But that's how we operate on a kind of token perspective. Whereas with NFTs, because you're buying and selling one item, you can very easily say, well, here's the purchase, here's the sale, we'll match those two together and I've got a gain or a loss. So NFTs are kind of treated like other physical assets in terms of you buy that asset, you sell that asset, you pay tax on that gain or loss under capital gains tax.
How is the price and sell measured? Is the price and sell measured at the price of crypto in fiat during the time? Because obviously the crypto is volatile.
Yeah, but ultimately, every time you do a transaction on you know, on Ethereum or whatever, you're going to get a dollar value attributable to that, aren't you? So
let me make it very, very easy, right? Let's just pretend that ETH is exactly £2,000, right? And so 0.1 is exactly £200. So let's say I buy an NFT for 0.1 ETH, whilst ETH is 2,000. So I bought the NFT for sterling value £200. I then sell that NFT for let's call it 0.05 ETH, right? So half the amount of ETH, but ETH these times is £4,000. So that 0.05 is also, it is worth the same amount. It's worth £100. So have I broke even or have I taken a loss? Because
no,
but it's the same fiat amount.
Yeah, so effectively we've got to convert it back. We have to report in our local currency. So every transaction needs to be converted back to the local currency at the time of the event. So in that example, you would break even because the amount of that, the dollar value or the pound value of that is the same.
That is so easy.
It is easy, man. The NFTs are pretty easy because there isn't much to it. Because it's easily identifiable what you've got. Do you know what I mean? So that I don't think NFTs are the problem. The problem are trying to get around these kind of average costing rules, and not only that, we also have what's called like bed and breakfasting rules. So we have a 30-day and same-day rule. Now, I won't go into the detail of it because we need to run examples and stuff. So maybe we'll do a bit more of a technical session another time. But effectively, if you buy a token today and sell it within the next 30 days, your price or your acquisition cost for that disposal will be the price you paid today. So basically, you can't. But basically, what they say you can't do is therefore tax loss harvesting. So in the US, you can buy a token today, let's say, and then it can drop in value over the next X amount of days, which you could then sell and kind of harvest that loss, and then rebuy it so your basis is lower. Do you see what I mean? Whereas we can't do that here because we've got these 30-day matching rules. Now, these rules were built for
Sej,
stocks
you
and
clip that
shares.
up for the American audience. Send it to all our bros in America.
Yeah, we got to send that to Ian Dunlap.
But yeah, our rules are made for stocks and shares. So, and all they've done is gone, oh, stocks and shares, perfect. Let's make that exactly attributable to crypto, which, as we all know, isn't quite. Crypto is so much faster than the stock market in terms of and obviously there are a lot of day traders in the stock market as well. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't get retail day traders in the stock market, whereas you do in crypto. So I do think there needs to be, these rules need to be looked at because they are complicated.
I got another question if you don't mind.
Go on, fire away, bro.
I'm dying. All right. Okay. So the big question, obviously, this is only accounting entertainment, so none of this is advice. But as a accounting entertainer, would you entertain or not entertain the idea that crypto sent in a decentralized wallet is untaxable if it's never taken out of the decentralized world?
Look, you're recording this and you're putting it out on YouTube, so I've got to be careful what I say.
Yeah, it's for entertainment purposes.
So
let's say that somebody had a MetaMask and then they made 3 ETH in the MetaMask and they never took it out the MetaMask, it never left the decentralized world. Is that a taxable event?
Well, look, the answer to that is yes. Like, it's a taxable event, right? That's fact. We can't get away from the fact that that's a taxable event. The question you're asking though is, do you need to declare that? Yeah, that's more the question.
It's just a hypothetical entertainment question.
And we've got a lawyer on this call. She's probably going to shot me straight over. Look, all I say to people is,
I am not going to say anything. I'm just going to act like I can hear nothing of this conversation.
How about to make
There's
it
a lot
less
of crypto flying around in MetaMasks. You know what I mean?
Let's just for Joe's safety. Let's just
Joe's career, life, his kids' food on the table.
Let's answer that in a separate private call that's not recorded, that's not live on YouTube.
All right.
I'd prefer that. I'd prefer that quite a lot.
All right. We know people are wondering it though. We know people are thinking about it. That's a big queue, isn't it? It's a big queue.
What do you think the answer is? Let's say you're the accountant. Being as you're not an accredited accountant and you're completely here for entertainment and education purposes, mainly entertainment. From an entertainer's point of view, all of this has been very entertaining. So what would you...
So for the record, I did complete Association of Accounting Technicians level 3, but I never moved on to level 4. I did that when I was 19.
You want a job?
Yeah, man. I did that through Open University. Shout out to them. But yeah, so as an entertainer accountant, I'll be like, well, legally speaking, you should declare it. However, technically speaking, it's unlikely that this transaction could be traced as long as only one person knows the MetaMask key, because it's hard to legally bind.
How did it get into a MetaMask?
And a MetaMask, you know what I mean? It's only a password and a seed phrase. Could be anyone.
How did it get in that MetaMask?
Sorry?
How did it get in the MetaMask?
You know, they could have found the piece of paper that the person wrote the private key on. There's nothing tying anyone to a MetaMask, is there?
I'm guessing it's the same if you found a hard wallet on the floor, like a ledger, it just had all this crypto in it. I'm guessing that's the same. Isn't that right?
That's taxable. Then if I find a hard wallet on the floor, do I have to declare this crypto? Because I'm not.
No, you're not allowed to answer because I don't want you getting in trouble. So we'll just role play me and Fadlan. So yes, Fadlan accountant, I found this hard wallet and it's got crypto on it. What do I do?
Well, as long as you don't take it out the hard wallet. It's just like finding a USB stick.
Okay, accountant Fadlan. Thank you for
I'm not sure, just for clarity, by the way, I'm not sure what this is doing with my reputation right now.
No, you're meant to
You've
come
not
in and go.
explicitly made any claims.
So
if someone's just joined, they're going to be like, "Who the fuck is this accountant they've got?"
So,
however, as the entertainment accountant, if you withdraw it into a centralized exchange, that's 100% taxable, and you should at least put 40% away for tax reasons.
So what I would say, being as we're completely not qualified, this is a great advert. This whole clip would make a great advert for Joe. So this is exactly why you should go and speak to an accountant who knows what they're talking about, because me and Fadlan are not qualified accountants or qualified financial advisors.
We're just entertainers.
We're just entertainers. Everyone's laughing. So what you should do is go and message Joe, go and message Victoria, and go and get some actual legal financial advice, some actual legal accounting advice, because we are just entertainers. We're just here to make you laugh. And Joe is, we're taking the mick out of Joe.
No. Let's go into something very serious, because this is something that Mr. Harding talked about, and that's basically how is it taxed when you liquidate one asset to another asset? Because I know people are moving in between coins. Like I don't understand how that's even taxed.
So that's a disposal. So if you've got, just taking easy examples, we've got Ethereum, and we move that straight into Bitcoin. That's for argument's sake. That movement of that ETH into that Bitcoin is a disposal of the ETH.
Interesting. So what about one of the biggest hot conversations in the world right now? Just want your opinion on it. I don't know if this is a sticky one for you. I asked you the question on WhatsApp and I prepared you for it. Is this
Do you know what? I was thinking, right? You prepared me on WhatsApp. You did not prepare me for
that. Okay. Again, we will pause that question for episode.
No, I'm joking. That question's fine. You go and ask a question. That question's fine.
Okay,
so I can just give you my opinion on it.
NFTs and money laundering. Apparently, this is a thing.
Yeah, because I saw a TikTok, and I know TikTok's not an amazing place for financial advice, but basically TikTok explaining how hypothetically all these people, like what's it called, Jake Paul, are just writing off tax by basically just buying off themselves, but with another decentralized wallet and being like, oh, it's a loss.
Yeah. So, like my opinion is that can be done. Like, I don't really know what you can do to at the moment. I don't really know how you stop that.
Yes, especially if we're just finding hard wallets on the floor.
I was just going to go back to that point.
Paper notes with their private key. You know, I found this notebook on the tube and it said my MetaMask is, and I just logged into it and
exactly.
This is one of my theories behind a lot of the NFTs, is that this is actually what's going on. It's not just celebrities doing this. It's big bankers going, I'm going to sell you this. Because this is what the art world was. This is exactly what happens in
100.
Art.
Do you really think these NFTs would be the price they are if they weren't being manipulated? Like, there's absolutely no way, shape, or form. Absolutely no way. There's no way you're spending £500,000 on an NFT, and if you've got £500,000 to spend on an NFT, you're not buying some kind of crypto, even if that's going into ETH or.
Wait. Let's just for banner see how expensive the most expensive NFTs are right now. It's just funny now, isn't it, to keep up to date?
Yeah.
Let's just go to the rankings. Let's see World of Women. Like, I swear Snoop Dogg bought one of these for like $250K. One sec. Let's see what's cracking on very quickly. Oh, wait.
Yeah, it has got ridiculous. This year especially, it just got silly.
World of Women. I just feel like we have to just look at this for history. So the floor price is 7.1K. And let's see how much more. 5, 6, 7. Okay, you know what? These aren't as crazy as I thought.
Well, just go to CryptoPunks, because that's obviously the most insane ones.
1 second, one more look. Okay. All right, CryptoPunk.
Because these things are going for like millions.
They don't even have a floor price. The floor price is gone. Yeah, 28 ETH.
Yeah, that's just it's just getting done.
111.
Yeah. If that doesn't scream like big money, like storing their money, because that's not retail. That is not retail. No way. It's the same thing with these price movements in Bitcoin. Like, if you do the maths and look at the market cap of Bitcoin and then look at the price movements, that is not retail. Retail, like, it's not. So it's the same thing, guys. Like, just be aware. Like, yes, some of the products are great. Some of them have got great utility, but you just have to like we always say, just do the maths sometimes, and you'll just be like, well, clearly this isn't another person like me. This is clearly some big corporation or some big family office that's doing this. So yeah, just be careful on that. Other question I had for you was, it's a bit of a tricky one, is do you have to pay tax on gas fees?
That is a good question. That is a good question. It's a really difficult one as well, because yes is the short answer, because any disposal of crypto is a taxable event, right? Let's just put that out there as a statement. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to that, but if you think that every disposal of any crypto you've got is going to cause you a taxable event, then you're going to be prepared, if you like, for the worst in a way, right? The thing with the gas fees, though, is they're kind of then offset, because you can then offset the cost of a gas fee against your gain, if that makes sense. So that's why when people ask me that question, are they taxed? You know, the answer has to be yes, right? Same with stable coins. Is selling a stable coin taxed? Well, yeah, because it's selling of a crypto. The chance of it actually having a gain is quite slim in theory, because it's a stable coin. but the transaction itself is taxed. So it's the same with gas fees. You know, you're disposing of ETH, so yeah, it's a taxable event, but you can write it off the cost of the gas against your gains.
Wow, amazing. So I did ask you to stay until 9. Can you possibly stay for 10, 15 more minutes to answer some questions? If you can't, that's completely fine.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, amazing. You had me.
I think my missus has gone to bed anyway. I think she's given up on me. So
okay. Okay, cool. So, because we're gonna definitely have to do a part 2 of this because this has been amazing. So yeah, let's get some questions from the crowd. Pop your hand up if you've got a question. Whoa, got one already straight away.
Jordan's on it.
Is that Jordan?
Wait, is this Jordan?
Yeah, it's me.
What's good, bro? Fire away, bro.
What's going on? Sorry, I've been in and out because I'm at work. So I was wondering, a friend of mine was discussing he was discussing taxes within cryptos, and what he was basically saying was that if your taxes are when people aren't accounting for their gains, but then what he was saying was the kind of way around it was kind of what you just said, similar. In a similar way that people aren't accounting for their losses when the price of the coin dips as well. So I just wanted to confirm, is that accurate to the way you should treat it?
So the only way you can offset a loss is if you crystallize it, right? And by that I mean you create that loss by making a sale effectively. So if you're in a loss position on your Ethereum, for example, the only way you can offset that against gains is by selling that Ethereum at a loss. Yeah. So
selling it for GBP just for 100%, like selling it for free.
No, selling it in any shape or form, in any way possible.
Oh,
right?
So including selling it into another crypto.
Yeah, so let's again coming back to this ETH point, right? So we've got some ETH, and I've sent it to you guys to pay for some support, right? That's a disposal. I give it away to one of you guys because I'm nice and you've entertained me on my Monday night. That's a disposal. The only time it's not from a gift perspective is to a husband and wife. Or husband or wife, be a bit mental if you have both. That ultimately, just remember, every time you dispose, you're getting a taxable event.
Okay. I can't. Is anyone have a question? I kind of have another question as well. Just a hypothetical.
No. Ask another question, but can I just ask? I personally know somebody who's in like a throuple. And he's into crypto.
Wow,
as well.
Ninja.
He's got 3 girlfriends, and he's been.
By the way, we forgot to tell you, Joe. Like the game is completely not professional. Like,
so I'm just imagining like him speaking to you at one point because he's into crypto. But yeah, carry on.
I'm not sure about that one, but carry on.
So you said I think it was there was a link that you put in the group to basically say to record all of your transactions. So let's just say hypothetically,
here we go.
Just laughing. Just say hypothetically, per year you maybe took say 40 to 50k, and you didn't have the records of you had the records but you hadn't marked it down. How difficult would it be for you guys to then go back and then essentially say like, this is how much tax, or if someone was to come to you in the new tax year, hypothetically, would you just start fresh from that tax year? Or are we going back like for however long said person may or may not have been making this much money? For entertainment purposes, of course.
Of course, yeah, of course. So we would effectively take, so if you came to us and said, look, this is my position, this is what I've done,
yeah,
can you do this tax year?
Yeah.
Yeah. You being a person out there in the world, not you.
Yeah, not me. Yeah,
as Jordan Wilson.
Don't do that. Okay.
Mate, your name comes up on the bottom of the screen. We would take your data and your word for it. Like we wouldn't go looking for stuff we don't know is there, if that makes sense. So Like
Mm.
if we like what we do quite a lot of is we find a lot of like we'll find that we'll do the transactional, like looking at the transactions, and we'll be like, look, you sent all this money to this wallet over here. What's that wallet? And people go, that wallet? That's the one I found on the train with the random
Yeah.
written. And then I go, well, there you go, because there's that trail, right? If we can find it, ultimately anyone can find it. So,
Yeah.
but if you genuinely lost data, like on a serious note, if you genuinely lost data, like, and we all know what some of these exchanges, especially, are like, especially some of the older ones.
Because
right?
Binance, mind you, only keeps 6 months of trading data. I'm really annoyed that like I can't see my previous stock from like 2020.
You can export it.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, I
but Binance will only let you do 3 months at a time, and you can only do 4 lots of 3 months in 1 month, if that makes sense. So if you've got like 4 years,
is there any way of me getting my 2020 Binance data? Because I've actually wanted to look for that myself, but I can't.
Yeah.
Do I just
you should. Yeah.
customer service and then they should give it to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked. Yeah, we've got client data from that far back. Yeah, well, from like 2016, 2017.
All right. No, I'm just talking about my actual Binance app doesn't tell me data that's like 6 to 9 months old. More than 9 months old or something. It says like.
Yeah, mine not on the app, but yeah, you can go on the website and download the historical data.
I'm gonna go check that out.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan, and your hypothetical scenarios. So next, does anyone else got a question? I'm sure there's someone else. Everyone's a bit shy.
Come on, guys, don't be shy.
I have a question.
Far away.
I'm in my family house, so sorry for the noise. What are the most common mistakes that new investors make with tax?
Oof.
How do they?
Question. It's a good question. Probably, and I'll answer this one a bit more seriously. Probably by not getting advice, by not talking to people like us. Like I said earlier, like you, from my perspective, you really need to start speaking to someone sooner rather than later, because we're in a game where people are making silly money on random meme coins that that nobody else even knows existed, but they managed to make £1 million, right?
Yeah, none of us have invested in meme coins, have we, guys?
No.
Okay, so
I set that up nicely for you.
Now we've got a strict kind of like almost anti-meme coin culture. We let some meme coins go through, but everyone that's part of our culture is very. We've got like a policy that we try and teach that's you can invest in meme coins with free money. So let's say, for example, you've done a lesson on Coinbase and you got some free money, or you got a referral code and you from Swissborg and you've got some free money. Go crazy.
Or you find a MetaMask on the train with a random seed phrase attached to it.
Then you can go crazy with that.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question.
I don't even know if I said I'd answer that seriously, and we still didn't manage it, did we?
Yeah.
I don't really like this.
Okay, I have a follow-up question because I know you have to answer my first question. Is do you have like case studies of like how like newbies have messed up, or is it more like how like is it like they crossed the 12.5 K barrier, then they start messing up, or was it before, or was it like they made £1 million and they start spending it, or like where does the taxman get you? Does he get you when you put in your bank account? Does he get you when it's your Binance wallet? Like where does he find you?
Ultimately, the taxman doesn't find you in the chance of anyone on this call being found, as in just randomly picked out of the hat and found for their tax situation on this call is extremely although based on this call, we're probably going to be looking into all of us, but ultimately that doesn't happen if you know what I mean. Like the self-assessment is what it says. It is a self-assessment of your gains, losses, income, all those sorts of things. The only reason they'll look into it is if they've got a reason to look into it. Now, there are random spot checks and things like that, but it doesn't happen. So I wouldn't say that HMRC are gonna find you as such. We've all heard the stories around Coinbase, sending the data and But even if they do you really think HMRC are going through every single person on Coinbase's data and checking that they've done a tax return and all that? They're absolutely not doing that. They're just loading up their armory ready in case they need it in the future, right? So for me, I don't think that's a risk, and I don't think that's an issue. And I don't think people make mistakes in terms of like their crypto tax. I think people just have a lack of knowledge, and that's not their own fault. That's just the way we are at the moment. So I think that's why I come back to the mistake being not having the knowledge, because or not seeking the knowledge, or what have you, because it's not your fault that you don't know, but HMRC will say it is. So go out there, find out, understand, research as much as you can. You'll understand a lot more than you think you will. Again, people like putting accountants, lawyers, all that on a pedestal, right? And they're like, oh, I can't do that because I'm not an accountant or whatever. But we're just normal people as well, or some of us. Just read some of the guidance, read some of the kind of what's out there. And actually, I think you'll understand a lot more. So for me, not educating yourself or not trying to educate yourself would be a mistake. But in terms of anything else, I don't think people, deliberately make mistakes in these scenarios. I think a lot, I'm really like pleased at how proactive the crypto community are being in terms of trying to get things right and trying to protect those gains that they've made and not get an investigation and all those sorts of things.
That's kind of where my work is like Fadlan and Hardin. Like, I work in pharma, so like my whole bloody industry is regulated to fuck. but so like that's why I kind of look for like, okay, what are the misfalls, what are the traps that happen to other people that we don't want to happen to us? But if it's but if it's kind of like a place of like, all of us know that like companies like Starbucks and those companies are like are underpaying their tax, and we want to be actually good and actually report our tax as good citizens, then yeah, I get that. I would agree.
Yeah, totally.
Ultimately, what I would say is to just in case because some of the reading we've done suggests that there is going to be some dexes that are going to be attached to our identity coming forward. So I would just go.
Not really a dex, then, is it? Sounds very centralized.
Well, it's going to happen.
All right, let's just jump on this one quickly. How decentralized are dexes? Let's be honest.
Okay.
Where are they? They're controlled.
Well, Uniswap don't know about the notebook that my friend picked up.
Do you want to just, in terms of Uniswap being decentralized, do we want to bring up the share screen and share the wallet diversification
of Uniswap?
Yeah, just to reiterate the point.
Do you wanna share your screen? I don't know what link specifically.
No, just on CoinMarketCap. Go CoinMarketCap.
Oh, for sure.
Because I was in the middle of writing a white paper the other day.
Casually.
It was a very, very interesting one and it's for, I think I'm allowed to say this because I've not signed an NDA. So it's about a stable coin, and I've just had very, very interesting how decentralized some of these stable coins are. So I've now got a new hobby in the crypto market. So yeah, click on Uniswap.
Oh, you're going to the holders in that?
Yeah, go on holders. This is my new favorite hobby, is just going to look at what the holders are. And remember, this information might not be accurate on Binance, because Binance is on CoinMarketCap, because it's owned by Binance, so we can't fully trust it 100%. And also because things like Hex aren't on here either. So holders.
Oh, shout out to Richard, he's a great guy. Whether you believe in Hex or not.
Wait. 22% is in one wallet. That's interesting. It's kind of diversified.
But you say that, right? But how do you know who owns those wallets? They could all those wallets down to where it's 0.97. All 11 of those could be owned by the team, for all you know.
Yeah, true.
Like, and therefore they could own 30-40% of the supply. Like, I'm not saying they do. Like, I don't want Uniswap lawyers on my back, but it's this is my point. Like, how do we know? You know, we're in an anonymous but not anonymous world. We can all look on chain, but you know, look at one of those wallets on Etherscan. You can tell me, you know, whose it is. You know what I mean?
Oh, before you go off that, Ninja, please go to do the same thing with USDC. I think it's a great thing to show everybody how decentralized these things are, and anyone that's working with us knows that we look heavily into the venture capital companies, and you'll just realize that it's these VCs that own these wallets. So if you go to holders on this one, very interesting. You can see it on the, go back up to the top, go back to the top. There we go. Top 10 holders, 38%. Top 20 holders, 47%. And what's the market cap of this?
$52 billion.
Yeah. Decentralized, right? So this is something that people need to be very aware of. That, yeah.
And also, just while we're on this point, it's quite interesting. Like, you know, we the reason we brought this up is because we, you know, a decentralized exchange isn't going to do this, or a decentralized exchange isn't going to do that because they're decentralized. But ultimately, they're all like, I say, oh, that's wrong. Like, there are a lot of them that are run and controlled by a group of people, CEO, CFO, you know, COO, CMO, all those sorts of things, right? They clearly control the direction, and I'm not saying that they, you know, they do everything themselves. I'm sure there's community governance and all that sort of stuff, right? Let's say there is, but ultimately they've got to make the right decisions for their business and for the business that we all enjoy using, right? So if HMRC say, or if the US more likely say, we want to regulate you, or we want you to do KYC, we want you to do this, or you can't trade in the US, like, what are they going to do? Like, ultimately, they're going to have to do what they're told, because if they don't, they're not going to get the volume. Therefore, we're not going to get the liquidity and all that sort of stuff. And ultimately, we're not going to get the products that we got right now. Do you know what I mean? So, and don't get me wrong, I don't want that. I think, you know, one of the reasons I'm in crypto is I love decentralization. I love the fact that, you know, in theory, there's no single point of failure, that we've got the opportunity to decentralize the world effectively, right? And put the power back into the hands of the people. But let's be realistic about this, as we just showed. It doesn't actually happen in reality right now. Because in business, you've got to be business-like, and you've got to make business decisions. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, 100%. Great point. Sama, you had your hand up.
I did. It was just branching from Joshua's point of, you know, the educational aspect. So if you wanted to kind of get a base level understanding of tax and regulation, what would be any resources that you would recommend beginners to take a look at, whether it's YouTube, articles, government guidelines, etc.? What would you suggest?
Yeah, good question. So I would say a good place to start is to look at the likes of, like I said, I mentioned some of these tax softwares earlier, Coinly, Accounting, Crypto Tax Calculator, people like this, right? They do very good guides, actually. Coinly's is very good. I'll dig out the link and I'll send it to you guys, and you can add it into the description. But Coinly's is very good. And that will give you, because bear in mind, like I said earlier, you know, a lot of the basic rules are not as complicated as they might seem. And actually, once you've read it over a few times and you've looked at your transactions and you've gone, I get that now. Do you know what I mean? I think actually you'll find that you get
law school.
Easy.
Perfect.
But that's what. So I would say use those. We've got a lot of content. We need to get better at structuring our content in a certain place, you know, rather than like it being all over the place. But if you search on my Twitter, there should be stuff. On my LinkedIn, there should be stuff. But I'll try and get better at putting it in a bit more of a central place where people. I do quite a lot of chats with like the software providers themselves. So yeah, I would say look at those things.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to take three more questions max.
I know George has got one.
Yeah, I was just about to say, George, we know you
came on cam. You know what time it is? It's the creative disruptor.
You've been on Cointing for time.
And see, I plugged it
Been on for
into
ages.
you guys like ages ago. So make sure you use my referral so I can use like the full paid version for this. Thank you. But my question isn't related to this. It's kind of creative disruption. So I'll put it at the end if anyone else has got any questions related to this.
What, you're not going to ask a question? What?
No, I just have game to drop. I don't have a question.
Well,
but
drop the
I'll-
game
that's why
then.
Yeah, just drop the
Okay.
game.
I'll drop the game. Okay, so it's because you mentioned World of Women, and so if people don't know, I work at one of the big media companies that won't be named because of what maybe I'll mention. But so World of Women, just a few months ago, Reese Witherspoon's production company partnered with them for an insane amount. I can't remember how much it was. So, but what the deal is, so this is a production company, and what they're doing now is taking World of Women and extrapolating it out into wider IP. So developing it into shows, developing it into merchandise. And this is a really interesting thing and a really interesting opportunity within the NFT market that I see is like there are a lot of collections out there and people feel like the value is just in the NFT, but it isn't. The value is in the IP because what these big companies are doing now is looking at NFT collections and being like, this could be a series. So say your Bored Ape's worth 100k now. When your Bored Ape is featured in a full-length TV series and is in books, is in this, imagine the value there. So the big media company that I'm working for, one of my tasks now in the background is to start looking for NFT projects and collections that they can develop into bigger projects and things. So this is a whole other game. So if you see NFT collections out there with characters and whole worlds around them, let me know.
DM George and Brown. At Blockchain Sensei and George and Brown in comments.
And when I say like turn these into things, I mean pump millions into these kind of IPs to make them huge. So yeah, big game.
Essentially, hypothetical entertainment millions.
Wasn't there an NFT recently that's been made into a movie or Netflix or something like that? Someone's bought it.
Exactly. This is what I mean. This is what all the big production companies and big studios are looking at now. They're looking at NFT collections that already have value to then turn into international, like in the next 5 years, every little girl in the world will have heard of World of Women.
So I know this is not what I'm here for, right? But I'm going to put my 2 cents in anyway. Does this not take away from the fact of what we're trying to achieve in the world of crypto? Though we're not then starting to move the whole of crypto back into the capitalist,
exactly. But
society that we've got. I'm not having, like it's obvious going to happen, but like I was looking at one the other day. So there's a gaming project called Decimated. I think it's on Solana, and it's apparently it's signed a deal with PlayStation and Xbox. So once they've developed the game for Crypto Land, they're then going to put it out on Xbox and PS4. And I'm just like,
exactly.
Well, that's just pointless, isn't it? Like, just create a PS4 game in the first place. But actually, no, we can take people's money and do it that way. So you don't have to go and give up.
It's the same thing they do. Like say like Harry Potter, fantastic book series. Production company comes along, this could be a multi-billion-dollar international film series. So that's what they're looking at now. They're looking at the same way production companies look for books and look at how they can develop those into films. They're now looking at NFT collections and seeing how they can develop those into other forms of media.
So as a crypto community, I'm taking over your show now, guys.
No, it's fine.
This is what I do as a creative disruptor. Just send it sideways.
Are we happy with that? Are we happy as a crypto community that our space is being taken over by the production companies and all these huge centralized organizations?
Yes and no. So yes, because eventually it's going to flip on its head and the DAOs are going to form and they're going to take over these massive centralized things. And yes, because it's going to allow for more attention and more validity of the space. So just like I did that post of all these companies are hiring, that makes people go, oh, it's not a scam. Oh, it is real. And that's the same thing with this World of Women thing. It's going to raise the bar for people being aware, which will in turn raise the bar for financial literacy, because you can't be involved in crypto and not question. Like, hang on a minute. Why was I not taught anything about investing in my entire life? So I think that's the good side for it. Is they don't, like, the corporations don't realize it, but they're basically making a lot of people go, investing. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, I can actually make more money from this than I can with my cash or it being in the bank. So that's the good side. The bad side is, yes, we are kind of, it kind of defeats the object, but that's the whole problem with crypto in the first place, is because it's based around capitalism. It's gonna only attract the people with the largest amount of capital, and the people with the largest amount of capital are those people that were trying to escape from this capitalist system. So it's a weird looped paradox, because you can't invest in any crypto and expect it to get you a gain of 1,000% and not have some kind of financial institution or venture capital company involved. Like, yes, we want the people to make these coins go up in value, these NFTs go up in value, but the amount of retail, the amount of people that have zero financial literacy is just wild, let alone how many people have financial awareness and are actually active in the crypto space. And then even in the crypto space, there's like levels to this. Like, there's people that are just like got a Coinbase app and got just Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then there's people that are like messing around with like just attending shows like this. Then there's people that are in this DeFi world. Then there's people that are in this node world. Then there's people that are making their own smart contracts. So there's just like so many tiers to it that I just feel, yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. It was clapping. Thank you. Jordan, unfortunately, I'm not going to let you ask another question just yet, but hang on. I'm just going to ask Jerome to ask a question, because I know you've always got a question.
You know, I don't have a question. I'm actually just enjoying listening so much. Like, yeah, I actually don't even have a question.
Being a student.
I've kind of actually along this whole topic though, it's kind of come to me that I feel like crypto might be run by Jamaicans. I've kind of figured that decentralization, I get it. Decentralized.
All right, wait,
that's the way
rewind,
Jamaicans
rewind.
say. That's the way Jamaicans say there, you know? Decentralized. It's decentralized, man. That means it's decentralized. It's decentralized. It's still, as you said before, is it just run by centralized people? The decentralized. So kind of coming to that, I like it, you know? I feel like it works well. I feel like it works well.
Joe, welcome to the game.
But yeah, no, man. Thank you so much, everyone, for your input. Yeah, it's given me a lot to think about also.
Wow. And last but not least person I'm going to ask is AJ, our #1 fan. Been here for with the highest level of attendance to the game. We've always got time for you to have a question.
I think all the questions have been answered. I was actually curious about like what happens if you like throw, let's say, 300 quid into a shitcoin and then you flip it indefinitely, but you never take the money out. Is that taxable? But I think you answered something similar earlier.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is taxable.
Like,
so every time.
Like what happens when you never take it out? You just flip it onto like the next crypto.
Yeah, well, that's the big, and that's why it's really good. I'm glad you said that, because that is a really good point, right? Because people will think, well, I've never taken it out, but actually every single trade that you've done when you're flipping are taxable events, right? And do you know what's the scary thing? You flip and you flip and you flip, you create these taxable events, and then not you, a person then loses that money, right? Because they put it in a real shitcoin that goes to zero.
Mm-hmm.
But they they haven't, or it goes maybe not zero, but it goes down to, you had 10 grand, it goes down to $100 or something. Now all of a sudden you've got a capital gains liability on all those flips, and you've got $100 worth of tokens left in your wallet. Do you know what I mean? That's the scary part as well. So it's always it's that's what worries me, that people don't necessarily understand that every flip is an event, a taxable event.
Thank you very much. Right, so Jordan, get your last one in because it's 9:28, and then we're ending with this one.
No worries. Again, it's just a conversation that I overheard. And Michael kind of reminded me when he mentioned nodes. So I was wondering, again, so someone was saying that, say for example, you invest 5K into a node, every month a node rewards you with coins. Now, the way that they was attempting to explain it, obviously I wasn't involved in the conversation, I was just listening. What they were saying was that every tax year, they're able to take, I think it's that same 5K out from the initial investment plus, and then for every ongoing year, you can take an additional 10 or 11K on top of that 5K. And like I said, I wasn't involved, so I was just scratching my head. But I was just wondering, is there any kind of truth to that, Joe? Or is there something similar amongst those kind of things?
Or is that a private conversation you and Joe should have?
I mean, we can have. It's nothing to do with me. Like I'm saying, I just heard it, so I'm just asking. does anyone know? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Dear. So, like nodes, we can finish on nodes if you want, because they're actually quite. They're quite challenging again because. So nodes. Let's take Strong, right, as an example. So we put money in Strong, and is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Jordan, do you hypothetically know people that invest in Strong?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Do you?
Carry on with your hypothetical example, Joe.
So I've lost my train of thought completely. So we're buying a Strong node and we're getting paid our rewards in Strong. We claim our Strong rewards, right? That claiming of those rewards is income tax, not capital gains. So that could be taxed at as high as 45% if you're a higher rate taxpayer. But otherwise, it will be 40 and 20. So that's an important note because there's a big difference between 40 and 20 if you're thinking capital gains. But our view is that you can deduct the cost of them. So if you say purchase a note, so say, I mean, Strong's at the floor at the moment, but if you, let's just say it costs you £2 to set up a node, £3 to set up a node, and you claimed £3 worth of income, you can offset that node cost against that income. So if you keep compounding, you won't actually have any income as such, assuming you compound at the same rates that you claim, if that makes sense. So hypothetically speaking, if you had Strong nodes and hypothetically made some income from that, you could offset the cost of the node against that.
Okay. I think I kind of get what you mean there, because when I overheard this conversation, I was just scratching my head like, you know what, I don't know. So don't ask me. But okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. I feel like we can wrap it up there. I feel like that is a lot of mainly entertainment.
Guys, please come on camera and type game in chat if you've taken any value from Joe. If you want to see Joe come back again, let's get on camera.
Let's get the faces, man.
Let's get our Jamaican horn.
Come on, Deco, George, Risha, come on, let's go. Let's show the faces.
Go on, show some love.
Let's show.
He's not going to come back if we don't.
He's not coming back if he can't see you. If he can't see you, he's not coming back.
Bro, I'll even pull out the air horn button. 1 sec. Button on ready, bro. Trust me. Bro, I had to bring it out for him. Come on. I brought the air horn for him, bro. Come on.
What is going on? Oh God!
Let's end it there. Let's end it.
Wow,
there.
Yeah, let's.
Been a good night. Been a good night.
Let's end it there. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.
I don't even know what to say. I actually don't know what to say.
That would be perfect.
See you later.
I think
guys.
I'm gonna need.
Bye, bye,
I think
bye.
I'm gonna need to sit down for half an hour and chill out and get back in the real world or something.
No, the metaverse. Welcome to the metaverse, mate. Every Monday, 8 p.m. to 9:30.
See you later, guys.
No.
Bye.
Cheers all.
See you later. Joe, we'll give you a call tomorrow.